Everyone, welcome back to another video, and today is the very first day of Chapter 8, Season 3. We are officially at the halfway point of this chapter, and we are nearing the end quick. I do believe this season is 13 weeks. It'll say in the title of the video, but it's possibly 13 weeks. Um, I might as well just get right into it. Of course, the name should explain what the theme is, but I'm going to say the theme anyway. It is a Viking Norse mythology theme season. But the focus isn't necessarily Norse mythology. There is actually a very big horror aspect to this season. This season isn't primarily focused in its architectural style. The architectural style is just adding on to some of the lore around the universe, or like the general aesthetic of the world. But as you can see, the entire wetland biome has been removed, other than this small archipelago down to the left. Um, but yeah, entire biome has been removed, similar to the Puce Hills removing the savanna. But you could definitely tell there is a size difference between this season and last season. Um, so yeah, without further ado, I think we should probably just get over here. But while we get over there, I'm going to explain the story of Season 2. Chapter 8, Season 2 started off pretty well. Actually, the entire season was really good. The story started with the United Folk taking over this region up here, of course, in the Puce Hills. A bunch of pink areas. It's called Puce Hills because the biome's pink. Um, and it was a very fun season. It was gala pageant themed. The season name was pageant. I am also gonna go over a little update over here. Wait, no, we gotta go up here first. And it's a very, very, very detailed season, and the architectural style was sort of Art Deco mixed with a Greek aesthetic. So it's very fun. I did Greek aesthetic right before the Norse aesthetic, so But next season, season 4 is something I've never done before, and it is incredibly crazy looking. Anyway, moving on, I would like to quickly explain what these buildings mean, but not yet. I'm getting ahead of myself. So, um, the story of last season was very, very straightforward. The main plan was to destroy the United Folk, and that they did. But what happened was Oscar, the leader of the United Folk, wow, I just stumbled over my words. He kind of killed his friends, but it was for a purpose to open up the Spirit Realm Gate. Luckily, the Spirit Realm Gate is gone, but that does not mean something was able to creep its way through using the giant thing we'll get to eventually. But anyway, it's a very straightforward season. We beat the United Folk, the team of 5-1. Easy, easy. Anyway, I'd like to quickly explain what this means. I have a separate YouTube channel that I do with my siblings called The Movie Makers, and they are they aren't very serious in any stretch of the imagination. But wow, that music is lovely. There's a particular movie that we made last summer called Evil Burger, and I have 2 updates to the lovely sandy suburbs POI. And as you can see, this is the Evil Burger place, and it has a little thing reference to the movie, but you kind of got to watch it to understand it. And then we'll skip over the name for this one, but you can read it. And this one has a reference to another movie that we made during the fall in November, and you'll get it. There's a microwave down there, a banana, and a toilet. So yeah, that combination of words is kind of strange, but this kind of completes this POI. This POI has had 2 buildings under construction since season 1, and it was those 2. And I just kind of wanted to finish that up and finally Sandy Suburbs is a full POI done. I also forgot to say the inspiration for that POI during season 1. It was kind of like a um, Los Angeles / San Diego inspired POI. Anyway, let's move on to the south, into the jungle. The jungle is lovely. Definitely the most realistic jungle I've ever made. Not my favorite, but it's realistic. My favorite jungle that I ever made is oh, nope, spoilers. Never mind. Um, yeah, this one has officially, or this jungle has officially been updated at the Collateral. Um, and it's a little bit of, it's gonna sort of show the gruesome feel that this the horror style of this season's gonna go for. There's 5 mini movies, by the way. I have 1 done and the other 2 underway. Yes, that is a trail of um. You can use your imagination. Anyway, moving on to the biome. This biome is the lovely Boreal Forest. There's 2. There's the Boreal and the snowy redwood forest. It's a very, very simple forest. There's also this little like entrance, and the entrance is absolutely glorious. I love this region. Sorry, the frames are gonna go down because of these flowers, but I'll try and make them, last as long as possible. Anyway, down here towards the back, this POI is called Petal Pass. Um, it's really just a nature focused biome. There's some aspen trees going through the fields. There's blue flowers here, red flowers here, and white flowers in the center. I was kind of inspired off of Ghost of Yote with the white flowers. Whenever you're on your horse, they're kind of like direct paths. But over here, we have a specific house, and this house is important for the first mini movie of the season. But let's just ignore it. We'll get more information on it later. We have this lake right here, and this slightly larger lake, and you may be noticing some roots here. These roots are very important to the lore of this season. This season does introduce a little bit more lore. You're looking at a specific thing called Yggdrasil, which is from Norse mythology, but we'll get there in a second. Anyway, let's go to the next POI. This is Raggy Ridge. Raggy Ridge is glorious. It is kind of the Viking town of the season. You have this building. This building. I don't really have to go. There's a detailed video or detailed review of the season. I forgot if there was. Yeah, there's nothing down in that well. You have this armory area. You have this kind of library. And then over here you have the watchtowers. Each watchtower is the same, I should say that. And there's the longhouse over here. Very, very nice. Anyway, there's also something in each POI, and it's a Nordic symbol, but this one is honor, formidable, yet it can topple over. Sort of. This is the symbolism in this season is pretty on the nose. We kind of have this small redwood forest with this like pretty area with some meadow with some aspen trees and stuff. You have the normal coniferous firs going down this hill, but then we have this large aspen forest. I really wanted to do a lot more with diversity in this season in particular, just because it kind of deserves that. I really think this season looks good with that diverse feel. Down here we have this river used to flow through the wetland, but no more wetland. It just has turned into a lake. This is the next river that has been cut off. There was one last season as well. So yeah, but over here we have the connection to the terrace and the Gilded Ridge biomes. And over here you have this little pond, and I think this biome is legitimately one of my favorites. Like, I genuinely adore this biome with, like, a full heart. Like, I just think this place looks it's so pretty. Actually, like, I looked at, actual, like, Nordic regions up in Europe, and I tried to emulate that with more of a fantasy mountainous vibe. And this was actually like inspired off an actual photo. I don't remember where it was, but it was a very tall mountain plateau. Anyway, over here we kind of have this dried river. and it would have flowed into this sound over here. And also, you may have noticed the power lines have been cut off from this area, so who knows where Los Lujo is getting their power, but you know, clearly not from the wetland, that's for sure. Um, yeah, there's also some rocks into the water, and there's a little arch with a root right there, and of course up this hill we can go up to our next POI. I also really like just kind of like flying through the lowlands over here. I really did try and make this biome feel more like it's supposed to be viewed from below rather than like flown above. And just because I really wanted to make this biome actually a fairly realistic biome, but still with that fantasy aesthetic. Over here, you kind of have that snowy slope, and this is the plateau I was just looking up at. You will notice right there, and we get to our next POI. This is a fairly small one. I did a lot more POIs in this season than I did last season, but this POI is called Hunter's Hill. It's very nice. You kind of have a stave church back here. This is actually a reused asset from Chapter 6. Over here, you actually have the butcher's house, which is a lot. This is probably, yeah, pigs and stuff, poor things. Blacksmith over here, and then you just have the small house. But you also have an archery area. Over here, we have partner. Life gives and takes. You're actually supposed to view it like this, but this works as well. There's not really a thing, but all of these are actually very much hinting at the story of the season, and you can only really get it once the story of the season is complete. I will explain the lore behind the Yggdrasil tree in once I'm done with touring, but it actually I kind of struggled trying to put Norse mythology in my story, but I think I did it fairly well. Down here is Remembrance Roots, and the symbol is shifting cycles. Life will find its way. So, a lot of these POI, I'm kind of going out of order with the symbols of the POIs, but it doesn't really matter. You're kind of able to figure it out. Over here we have Tortean, and there's also a reason why these things are here. Those are just symbols for the different chapters. That's Tortean. You have this nice little lake here. You also, Yggdrasil, the entire tree is kind of tilting sideways. I took inspiration from the Phantom Erd tree from Elden Ring for that style. Over here you have the Neotropolis feel. Going over here we have the Aether, the Crushed Isle, this is what was this place called? The Unknown Isle, or the Unknown Island, the Crushed Isle. Over here is Chapter 6, and that's the flip side, and then over here would be Chapter 7, which is Celestia, which is not set in Reality Nyx, of course. Now the story is once more, but you know, it's pretty nice. I liked making this lake. I was inspired off of an area from Ghost of Tsushima. You know, my favorite game of all time. Maybe I should do a playthrough of that. That'd be pretty fun. Yeah, I'll go over the lore later, but we have 3 more POIs to get to, and one particularly glorious place to get to. There's a lot of roots in this on this biome. You have this little like pond here. That was just kind of an idea I had. I wanted to do a little bit of beauty, and within these woods, we have Fallow Farmstead with our next symbol. We'll get there in a second. This is a reused oh no, that's not. But some of these are reused assets here and there. But here's like the actual farm. It's a pretty nice farm. I actually looked at crop. I didn't look at crop fields in, I think, Switzerland or Finland. I looked at like old style like farmsteads, and they did actually kind of have these like blocked areas unless it was a like hill and terrace farm. Anyway, right here we have family, love, protection, and death. It doesn't seem like the story is going in a bright direction. But anyway, we have this area. This is one of my favorite areas in this entire biome. Let's actually quickly go down here. The wetland actually had a little bit removed. The wetland is still under this, by the way. I'm gonna show that. It's underneath all of, yeah. The wetland is still here. Just small parts of it have been like cut and stuff. So you can't really see it here, but you can see it here. I had to like remove an entire chunk. That's fallow farm set up there. Uh, but yeah, I love the wetland, and it looks really good from down here. It kind of gives it a creepy feel, like alien like cavern. Um, oh, maybe I should start doing some cavern biomes, some cave. Ooh, okay, that just gave me an idea. Um, Over here, you kind of have this like little isle over here. It's pretty fun. You have I don't know. Does the Isle of Zero? That was the name of the seas of the island, but now is it just the Island of Zero? I don't know. Anyway, as you can see, the Heart Island still remains, and that's still the Grove biome. But besides all that, you kind of have this fun little area over here with Elegant Estuary. That is the name of this BOI. It is very glorious. You have some dung right here, and you also have a little farm. You have a building right here. I think this is reused. Yes, it is reused twice in this POI right here. But the big idea is kind of like these waterfalls coming from the snow up top, down into this river, flowing into this area. And I know I called it estuary, and an estuary should technically connect to the ocean, but eh, who cares? No one cares. But over here, as you can see, Tortean House, it's back. It was underneath. It was in the wetland originally, next to the barge POI. Oh, wow. Yeah, dang, I smited the barge. Okay, wow. Yeah, originally it was like right here, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it would have been like right around here. Yeah, where all that water's gone, it used to be there. Oh, that's fun. Anyway, down this hill, we have a little like bay over here. It's pretty fun. You have some crying waterfalls. The same thing. I added the same thing in Chapter 7, Season 3. And then over here, you kind of have the isle right here. And yeah, this is like the entire island kind of needed, or the map needed some well-versed like pine forests and height. So this was the season where I did that. Next season is kind of rounding it all together. And I believe, arguably, that this season 3 is the best version of the map, but season 2 could also get close there. As you can see, waterfall going in this little river, and this leads to the snowy boreal. The snowy boreal only has one. No, I don't even think it has a biome or a POI. It doesn't, sadly. But you have this really pretty area. I think it looks better at day. Yeah, day looks amazing here. But this is probably my favorite lake I've ever done. I'm going to, once I move into the mountain biome for chapter 9, I think I can say that. Every map has had a mountain biome in my story, so I might as well just do it again for the penultimate chapter. Um, I am going to take inspiration from this region for at least one area in the mountains. But it's going to be improved by a long shot. Anyway, let's move on to the final POI. I do believe this is it. Sorry. I think in the detailed review, I went up all these stairs. This is like the longest flight of stairs that I've ever made, and it all leads up to an area inspired by Skyrim. This is clouded castle. It's above the clouds, and this is also the best view on this map. Seeing the giant tree above the clouds reminds me of the mountaintops of the giants from Elden Ring, if you know what that looks like. Maybe I'll put an image up there. Maybe I won't, if I remember. Anyway, Ragnarok. The end is nigh. Penultimate season, moving into the I think this is one of my best seasons that I've ever done. It's very heavily detailed. Right here, that's one room. Also up here, this place is so fun. I really like seeing the sun cut through those. You kind of get like an absolutely amazing like look from down here. It looks so. This POI is one of my favorite castles I've ever done, and it's more of a stave church. I get that, but like, I mean, look at that. That's a pretty goofy looking building. I also wanted to go kind of cartoonish with it because for the most part, this biome is like incredibly realistic, and Chapter 8 is supposed to sort of combine my Chapter 7 feel, which was incredible realism, mixed with my prior chapters, like Chapter 5 before that, when the maps were a lot more vibrant, and this is probably the biome that's probably the least vibrant on the map right now. Maybe the jungle, but who knows. But anyway, I think I should move on to the lore behind Yggdrasil, because that's sort of a section in the story of this season that I have not explained the best that I could. But anyway, Yggdrasil, it came from Oscar, and Yggdrasil is actually what was in the original place of the Shadow Tree, or the Arc Tree in the Shadow Realm. So this has replaced that, like it's been moved. This Arc Tree dropped a seedling, and of course Oscar was part of the core, so he must have just picked up that seedling, turned it into a sapling, and it slowly started sprouting into a new version of this. And this is the new version of Yggdrasil. But these roots connect to something really big, which I don't think I've revealed yet, so this will be the first revealing. The roots of time. My story is divided into like timelines, and every single timeline it's ever changing. Every small decision made by any being in the universe, meaning there could be an ant that makes a different decision and the universe shifts. Like there is an infinite number of timelines, but the only real timelines that matter are when a major shift happens in Reality Next particularly. Um I'm going to go up this tree to show how it's kind of bushed up there. Um this is the lore behind this place is these roots are the roots of time, or not, like they're sort of a small chunk of them, which would explain as to why some of the things in this reality have sort of shifted with this season. Like why this is here. This is like maybe this biome is from a different timeline. It doesn't really matter what reality it's from, but reality is, I think I've explained that. I've explained that in my entire story explain video. But anyway, realities are just like different planets. It's just it doesn't really matter, but just think of them as planets. Um but it would explain as to why these small little like throwbacks to prior chapters are here. It would make sense why the Tortean house remains there. Um, and it is primarily because I sort of the story of Yggdrasil in my story is at least is very important to the overarching general narrative, and it is a also really important part of like Mesmer's story and stuff like that. And of course, with the Shapeless Man now being confirmed to be Zero, who is the big bad of the season and controlled a group known as the SCO before, or big bad of the story. Sorry, the entire thing. It's slow. Like I'm beginning to slowly start connecting the dots from the plot holes that started in chapter 6, and I'm beginning to sort of fill them in, and that was the intention. There was supposed to be plot holes that all got filled in before chapter 9, because there's a very very big event that happens at the beginning of chapter 9 and the end of this chapter. Like it is quite literally the turning point of the entire story, where everything just slowly like, oh yeah, this is why this happened, this is why that happened, but I can't spoil it. Can't spoil it. That would be not cool. Anyway, to explain the roots, they are just kind of a more physical version of the roots of time, and the roots of time are connected to the spirit realm currently. And that would explain as to why the big bad of this chapter, called the Entity, has made its way onto the island, but not in a fully physical form yet. It torments people through memories of their past, particularly PTSD or other mental illnesses. So this season is a very 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 dark season. It's going to slowly turn into a actual like this chapter has gone from a paradise, and it's slowly going to turn into not a paradise. Like that's the general aesthetic that I'm going to go for. Especially with season 4, and that season is done, and it is one of the I would like to explain the horror aspect that I'm going for with this season is analog horror, and it sort of moves into season 4 as well. Season 4 is a visual horror thing. Like it is not like it's also got a lot of like psychology behind it. I've kind of like tried to figure out the symbolism between the entity and like mental illnesses like PTSD, similar to how I did with the Abyss and like depression and stuff. But you know, pretty cool. I've done a lot of symbolism with this story currently. So, without further ado, oh, that's my head. I guess yeah. Without further ado, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. Goodbye.